What's up, friends? So today I'm going to be joined by Yuri. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce Yuri's last name, Stebafor or something like that. Yuri's a wonderful person. He works at NX, and yeah, I've been good friends with the folks over at NX for a long time now, actually. And I've been wanting to use NX for a long time also. So what we're going to try and do is create an NX-based version of my workshop app because there are just like a ton of challenges that I've got with the workshop app. So let me just get this, get a couple of things in place here. Let's see. I'm just tweeting about it because that's my life now. It's just tweeting or posting to X. Okay, here we go. So, and I'm starting this a little early. That's why Yuri's not here yet. Because I just thought, you know what? I want to get things rolling. And so we're gonna do that. And I think Yuri is here. What's up, Yuri? Still joining.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. Let me switch on the lights here.
Awesome. We're live already, Yuri. I wanted to just
Awesome.
get us rolling. So thank you for
For
joining.
sure.
I really appreciate you giving me some of your time to help me figure out how to get the workshop app running with NX. So to give everybody a little bit of background, the EpicWeb workshop app is what everybody uses to go through the exercises for EpicWeb. It's intended to be run locally. This is the production or the deployed version of the app here. But yeah, the idea is you run it locally, and then you can click on this and it'll open up the files in your editor locally and everything. It's super cool. There are a bunch of other tabs to like run
Pretty
servers and
sick,
stuff.
yeah. Tried it
There's
out last week, so it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
cool. Yeah. There's a lot to it. It's a pretty significant little deal. You can log in locally, all that stuff. It keeps track of your progress and people who are working on it with you and all that stuff. There's tons of stuff. So the way that it's built, I'm not super thrilled with, though, with regard to the structure. I knew from the start that I wanted to do a workspace because I wanted to have an example directory that is like, this is what my workshops are going to be structured as. And then later on, I added a presence package for the party kit stuff that's responsible for the presence, like who is currently working on which exercises and all that. And then as the biggest pain, or one of the biggest pains, is the workshop app itself is a remix app, but I need to have some utilities that are used by the workshop apps themselves. Like they have like scripts that are going to be using some of these utilities. They're also like, there's the remix app, but then there's also a little bit of the dev server that's an express server right now. Eventually I want to move that over to the Vite server thing and all that, but that is a future thing. So, but the point is that I've got these utils that need to be used outside of the remix app. And really, these should probably be in a separate package. It would just be much easier to manage this stuff because I have to, because they're outside of the Remix app, I can't just hand them over to Remix to have Remix build them. And so like, it's a little bit complicated, but the point is I need to have some tool that can manage like, build this first, and then it can be used by this thing and
Task
handle the,
pipelines, basically. Yeah,
yeah.
dependencies and different tasks that you're going to run. Yep.
Yep, basically what NX does. I need
Yep.
NX. So, so what I think would be the easiest way to do this is to start fresh and bring things over as we go. Does that, because I've actually tried to apply NX to this project as it is, and it was just way too complicated. There's just too much going on.
I mean, it
So
depends.
yeah.
It depends really how you want to apply it. Because like we could apply it at a very thin level, basically giving you task pipelines, which is like the thing which I understood like you need most, right? Where you simply like configure the dependencies between these packages and then make sure they are built in the right order. That would NX would do that at that point, right? And that's it almost, right? Like you still keep using your same package JSON scripts and all the stuff that you already have like in the repo. I don't know how they are structured, but I guess like it's just like V builds or remix builds or whatever, right? And so you could still keep those and just like use the pipeline feature to make sure they are built in order.
Yeah.
Right? So
well, one of the other that would probably be helpful. Like when I run the dev script, you'll notice a bunch of things have to happen before the server starts up, and so like NX could help with that a lot. But and like caching would be nice and all that too. The other thing that I would like to see if NX can help with, I know that you're currently working on this, is the publishing of these packages. So this it's a remix app, but it's something that you npm install because it's running locally on the machine inside of a project. And so for projects where I am the only consumer, and even for projects where I'm not, I really like having automated releases that I don't have to think about. And so I like my commit messages to be the thing that generates the changelog. I can change the changelog later if I want to, but most of the time I don't. I don't want to, lots of automated release tools will require you create this changelog file thing, and then it, does that. That works great if you're Remix and you've got, tens or hundreds of thousands of users and all that. But for me, I'm the only consumer. I don't need to spend that much time with my releases. So what I'm doing right now is I have this release step as part of my GitHub CI that uses semantic release, and I've been using semantic release for a very long time, and it works great. But it has to do some pretty weird things because I don't think, at least I don't know of a way to make semantic release work in a workspaces scenario. And so I'd have to do like a job like this for every one of the packages that I put together.
You have to do
like
it
coordinating those versions and stuff would be pretty tricky.
That's exactly what the new feature we're working on. It's already released, but just like as alpha, so I don't want to like throw it at you right now because we're testing it internally. But like the main advantage is like similar to the whole task pipeline thing. That release process also recognizes those dependencies, right? So we would know, hey, I need to publish first that other package. Also to make sure, because if something goes wrong during the publishing process, right, you don't want to end up with a broken state on NPM, right? In that sense. So it takes those things into account. So I think that could be a second step that we could apply it here. But again, like if your your biggest concern right now is mostly the kind of building order and how like tasks are basically processed in order, I think we could also try to apply it here. See how far we come.
Okay.
And then basically just in case if we see like we get stuck for some reason, we can always kind of start fresh and kind of pull stuff over. Because with NPM Workspace, you're happy overall, right? Like that works. That stuff set up.
Like it's working fine. So I've got the workspaces defined here.
Okay, so you have packages, examples, exercise. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that this is or my workshop apps themselves are workspaces. And so we're kind of simulating a nested workspace structure here by doing this. And that works out okay in here. But kind of annoying to do it that way. But yeah, I'm fine with the way that NPM is doing this. I have my dependency right here. That works just fine. These scripts work. What my dev script does is it runs inside the example, runs the start script, and what that does is runs kcd shop start. That is that binary comes from the workshop app. And then
so that's why you have that dependency there. Basically, you need to build that first in order to be able to run it like inside there. Okay, I see.
Yep, exactly. And then in here, the bin is pretty like, I'm not using any dependencies on here. It's just pretty simple, the start script here. But we do things a little bit differently during development. So if we're in production or we're in a published scenario, so like consumers are actually using the workshop app, then we do this. Otherwise, we're going to run the dev script. inside of the workshop app. So we're saying start, but we're actually saying dev. And so the dev script here, like as we follow through all these different scripts that we're spawning and stuff, the dev script here is runs NP or
it runs in parallel.
The parallel thing. All of the dev scripts. So we've got dev remix, utils, and dex. That's for our declaration files for TSX. So the remix dev server starts, and then I have to build the utils, those files.
That's what could be a separate package, which you mentioned before, right?
Yes. Yep.
So
exactly.
That's something that you could extract.
And then also,
I mean, that could be extracted in a second moment where you just extract it as I guess it's just pure TypeScript at that point, right?
Yeah, it's
like
pretty much just TypeScript stuff. There's no app or anything like that. Yeah. But we'll need to figure out how to do the publishing before I can extract this as a separate package. Because the problems you described that NX's publishing thing can solve. Sounds like probably best to not do that today though, and wait for.
No, I would wait because our goal is to kind of test it out now in next week and the week after, kind of beginning of December, I guess. We'll be ready for prime time. But we could try it out even before that. We're pretty confident. We used it already on our NX repo itself and here on the Eternal Mon repo, so it works, right? It's just we are not. There might be some breaking change still on the API surface. We didn't want to kind of publish it as much or talk about it as much. But yeah, I think we could do that in a second moment.
If we manage to finish the build pipeline stuff in enough time, we still have time, then I don't mind trying alpha stuff. That's my bread and butter. So
yeah, that's all right to give it a look.
So anyway, that's the whole process for development. Then build pretty much just runs these build scripts. That's all that it does. And then the presence thing is if I want to test, so during development locally by default, I just hit the production presence server and that works fine. It's not a big deal. But I would like to be able to have the presence server running locally as when I run the dev server. And so that's something we could figure out if we have time. But yeah, so there's a little bit of coordination there as well. And then of course we have other things that we can maybe talk about later as well, like the linting and type checking. This is actually working pretty well. I don't think we probably need to do too much with that. But that could benefit from some caching or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is first to figure out the dependencies such that they match. And I think caching is pretty straightforward. That's mostly just figuring out what are the output files, what are the input files. Is there anything we need to tune, or do we just use all the source files as the input and that's it? And so that's more fine tuning at that level.
Okay. Well, so then should we start? Maybe the build script would be easier.
I would start with the build and then go to the dev one, which might involve spawning a server or something.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it then. What do I do first?
I guess the best is have a separate branch. we can play around, and then you can just run npx.
Oh, that's right. Hold on. Let me. I'm gonna just commit this really quick. Commit. This was fix. Startup server faster. All right, great. So let's make a branch. Work in progress. NX migration. There we go. I guess it's not quite a migration. It's just we're adding this thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it would kind of take over the task running at that point. So you can just run npx nx at latest init, because that just gives us minimal installation and just pre-generated a small config file. So that's something you can then use to start. Here you can just here we could in theory already start all the ones that we need to that need to be run in order, right, based on dependencies. I would just select the build for now, so we have just some pre-generated stuff.
So all the build ones?
No, just the main build one I would go with, because we will add the other ones separately, because maybe we don't even need to. So I would just get this one for now. Are the scripts cacheable? We can ignore this for now. I think we can add that at the second moment. This is if you want like the remote caching. I think we don't need right now. We can opt in to that afterwards.
Cool.
Since
I
it's
like
open
starting
source, you could
simple.
even, I would start with the minimal possible here. And so what we should have gotten here is obviously the NX package in the package JSON.
Yep.
So there's the NX package, and then there is like that NX JSON file.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's my bad. I should have committed that. I thought I did. Okay, well, I'll look at that later. Oh, I know what's going on there. Don't worry about it. Cool. And then, yeah, good. So let's take a look at the NX JSON then.
Exactly. So this is the main one which we would be defining or potentially defining the pipeline, the task pipeline. So basically that build order that needs to be respected when we build the packages, right? And so here you already see, since we selected the build one as the one task that needs to be run in order, it already got like added here that target defaults, which you call it, and build would be the task that we run, right? And here what it says like depends on all other builds, right? And that caret signal in front of that caret character, it simply signals basically that it should do that for all dependencies. So basically, if you have your example application that depends on the workshop app, now if you build your example app and that is connected to the workshop app via like package JSON dependencies and whatnot, right? It would first run the build of that workshop app and then the example app.
Okay, so if I, in my example, I had a package JSON and this has a build, says no build needed. So if I run, I run the build in here using NX, then NX will build the workshop app first.
Let's figure out exactly. Let's figure out whether like how things are connected. Like if you go to the terminal again and run npx nx graph, and then just show all projects, just to see what is connected here. So like I guess those are the exercise are all the example applications, right? Then there's an example app. So right now that's the only one that's connected. So an example app, which is probably the dependency which you have seen before, right? Connects to the workshop app. And so those
actually
two
in a real workshop, all of these will actually depend on the workshop app as well, because they depend on there's one of the utilities that are exposed by this is going to be used by all those. So this is a little out of date.
Oh, okay. But so basically you would go and update those dependencies, right, to point to the workshop app afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. But yeah, based on this one here, the build would already work in theory. So I mean, we can try if you run npx.
I've got things fancy, so I don't have to run npx.
Oh, okay, perfect. What do you use?
So my path, I have /node modules added to my path.
/node modules. I should do that as well.
Yeah,
because
like
otherwise you have always to prefix it.
Yeah,
but yeah, if
I think there's
like
actually a cleverer way to do it that I should probably look at, because like if I'm inside of a subdirectory, now that's not going to work. So somebody figured out a clever way to make that work still that I should have.
Because I know WebStorm does it out of the box, right? Like their terminals automatically links that. And I don't know whether they have the same issue with subdirectories. I guess like they would probably solve it because it's solved at ID level somehow. So
yeah. So it's NX. Do I just run NX build?
Yeah. NX build and then name of the application. So you would be like NX build and example, I guess. Or I don't know what the name of that example app is. But yeah, now you see already like it's waiting for one dependent project task to run before, right? And so that would run before now, and then it runs your no build needed, right? So this order basically is already established with that condition.
Yeah.
And now it almost is up to like defining the connections to the other apps, because you mentioned there's like that presence.
Yeah. So the thing is though that like all of these apps that are in here, the consumers will never actually build those. They'll never run the build. And I certainly will never need to do that as I'm doing this. And in the consumer case, they don't need to run the build because they have it in node modules anyway. So it's published at that point. So I don't think we need to worry about making that connection right now.
What other dependencies do you have then? Like the presence one you mentioned? Is that one the party kit thing? Is that also something that depends on?
So the workshop app technically depends on the production deployed version of presence. This is just another server. So there's no
Okay.
like no direct dependency from a code level. It's just the HTTP.
All right. All right. So we don't need to have that like set up.
Yeah, the dev server is going to be more tricky. I think we're probably done with the build.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Unless we is there a something that we can do with NX to handle all of this?
We could. I mean, like you can still keep running, like using the run p, right? The run in parallel script. If you're fine with that, NX has the option where you can define in here like an NX node and say like, hey, these are the commands that you need to run, and just run them in parallel without having them here in the scripts the scripts built here.
So it would be like NX here, or
yeah, you have like an NX node. I mean, the alternative is either like have a package JSON and have the NX node in there, or like a project JSON, which is specific to NX. But I would just add it in here because you already have it. So
got it. So it'd be NX.
It would be, yeah, it would be an NX node, and then it would be targets as the goal here. Yeah, exactly. And then you just open up curly braces.
Whoa! Oh my
What
word!
happened?
Okay, there we go. Copilot.
Like, yeah.
No thanks.
And
Copilot.
then you can just do yeah, we can just name it build, because that will replace literally the build command. Again, like colon curly braces. And then since we have multiple ones, we need executor. We write executor.
There we go.
Yeah, and we probably need just something like nx run command. Let me quickly look it up, because I keep forgetting what the exact name there is. I have it somewhere. I think it should be nx colon, just nx colon and run dash commands.
Okay. Copilot thinks you're right.
Perfect. Let's see if our Copilot is right. And then you have like below it, you have like options. Like you just create a new object below it. Yeah, exactly. Options. And then inside here, again, it's curly braces, and you have like commands, and then you just have a list of commands to run. And you don't have to use like the current working directory, because I guess that's
probably the default.
Let's try actually. Let's try without it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's try without it. You can literally just have the strings, the commands that you want to run, basically.
Okay.
And I guess like that would be just copying. Yeah, exactly. And then if we see like it doesn't work because of the current working directory, then we can just fix it.
I messed that up. Okay, cool.
So let's see. And probably at that point, you would just copy in basically whatever you have in those, right? Just to get rid of those completely. Just like basically have like remix build source map and so on.
So what? So I would delete this, right? Or yeah. I see. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't want.
So this would basically replace the run p, right? So that's why I said before, like you can still keep that, or like wrap it in such a way where we redefine basically the build script with that kind of, the executor is basically the run p at that point. That just runs commands where we would say how to run.
Would it be like this? That's what Copilot had me do?
No, you would go basically just taking the like the lines 73 to 76 and just use those in place of the npm run build remix and so on, right? So you would be able to get rid of them completely, or just reference from the above. Like that's, I mean, I leave that to you.
Part of me wants to leave them in here, so it's easy to run them individually if I want to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And at that point, the build script could be removed at that point.
Oh,
right?
entirely.
Because you wouldn't. Yeah, because like the build target that we defined above is basically the replacement of it.
Got it.
And the only thing I think we need to do still is like within that options command there is a parallel. I think it's parallel true or something. Yeah, just to make sure that these are run in parallel.
Okay.
And that's it. Let's try what happens.
Right.
Like if you run nx build again example.
Nice. It cached everything, I guess.
It shouldn't because like we didn't enable the cache for the thing. But there's no build needed. Like the change we made, what was that in the example app, or was it in some other?
That was in the workshop app.
Oh, okay. So let's try run the workshop app just separately, just to see.
So that
let's see.
This is what the name of this workspace is. So I'm guessing that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay.
Yeah, that's the name. Then there's annex node, targets, build. Should be fine. Can you try running annex reset? So I'm wondering whether it didn't catch up like with that config. Let's try again. And find configuration. Oh, that's weird. Let me see.
Did I get the package JSON configure correct? Like it is NX.
Yeah, it should be fine. It's just NX is at the top level of the package JSON. Target, build, executor. That looks good to me. Let me see. Let me see whether the docs can help you. You also know docs.
I'm gonna take a look too.
Because it's the run command syntax that should.
So this is saying NX.
Yeah, this is if you want to generate the whole thing, right? Like set it up. I mean, we could try to see what it gives us. But if you look, I can send you a link in the chat. I think this is the docs page. Which is what we need.
Can
you try? I'm just wondering, can you try? Yeah, no, it looks like it doesn't find the actual, like it doesn't recognize it as a project, which is weird though. Can you try create, just out of curiosity, like a project JSON in that project, like in the workshop app, and just basically copy in?
Yeah. And then just
wondering
move the NX config.
Yeah, we just copy the target part exactly.
Yeah.
And then I will need to have a name, I guess. The name will be like your like Kansi dot workshop app.
Okay. Well, that was different.
Interesting, because it did pick it up before, like in terms of building it. So let's see, what does it say?
I'm pretty sure the problem here is going to be
the current. Yeah, and you can just like do that for once. I think at the options, like just saw it in the logs, like at the level of the parallel true, you can say CVD exactly, and that will be like wait a sec, it's not apps. I think it auto-completed wrongly.
Oh yeah,
isn't it like it is packages, right? Packages, workshop app.
There we go. That is looking more correct. Yep.
All right.
Looks good. I've got to get rid of this npmrc. That was just a copy paste thing, and I'm finally getting annoyed by that. There we go. Yeah, cool.
All right.
So that worked.
Yeah, I need to
and then
need to look it up why it didn't recognize that from the package JSON though, because that's weird. Because before, when we ran the example build before, it did run the build, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
we didn't look at the output.
Didn't show, but it took long enough that you would expect that's what was happening.
Yeah. So basically that to say, like, you can have both approaches, right? You could just go with the NP, because in this case the change is not really like you don't save anything at this point, right? Like especially like if you want to keep those scripts individually, like still there to run them independently, which makes sense. I don't know if I would actually bother to have it like in a separate file just for the build. So I would probably go with them can run in parallel that we had before. But
I see.
This would be because you don't really save a lot, right?
Yeah,
in that sense.
Well, my hope is that we can cache some of this stuff.
We can do regardless. Like we can do
really?
regardless of because the caching setting, that will be something in NX.json again, where we then say just cache true, and then that will be cached, right? We just need to then.
Can it be fine-grained though, or would it just cache?
Yeah. We can define there then like where the inputs and outputs are, like what should be considered for like that specific build command, like where are the artifacts being placed, what files should the build, for instance, take into account as like the input. So for like, I don't know, like just TypeScript and TSX files and JSX files, but not README files clearly because you might not want to have them in the build, right? Stuff like that can definitely be configured there.
Well, but how about we leave it in this working state and then
and optimize it out later.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Okay, so which would be better to try next? Would it be caching this or getting the dev servers going?
Let's try with the dev servers, I guess. I mean, caching we can try. Like we can just try to add that on it, because I think the configuration here wouldn't be too wild. So this is a Remix app. So we can, like, if you add here cache true, just at this node basically, right? Because the output files, which one do you have there? Like, is it the build folder? Like what output does the Remix?
Each one is going to be a little bit different, but yeah, it's pretty much the build. I think the server, let's see, it's also everything ends up in build. Yeah.
So that should already be detected by default. So I guess we can just try to run the build now and see.
It should be detected by default, like some sort of magician amazing
so
thing.
what would well, kind of, in the sense that like we just include by default the main, like usually what is like this folder, the build folder.
Gotcha.
Output, I think, like I'm not even sure about output specifically, but like those are usually ones that you use as your artifact files, right? So if you don't configure anything, those are the ones that we kind of detect. Otherwise, you just go and define an outputs array and like you specify which files you want to have and
got it,
which folders.
Okay, so now it's been cached and it's crazy fast, which is awesome.
Let's try to delete the build folder now, just to see whether
make sure that gets busted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And if you try, just like if you
yeah, that's sick.
If you remove the server node within that, what happens? Like if you just remove this one and just restore it again. Perfect.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, it seems to detect it properly.
So then the real question is, if I make a change, yeah, there we go. Sweet. Yeah, good.
Yeah, by default, it just pulls in, just so you know, like for the inputs, it just does a project root folder star, right? And inputs all the stuff that is in there. Clearly, everything does not get ignored. Like that obviously doesn't take part of it.
So,
but if you would want,
this is very interesting. What just happened? So I changed this and it rebuilt properly. Then I changed it back and it built instantly with the cache that I'm assuming was from the previous time.
Yeah.
That is so great.
Yeah, because the hash still matched, right? So the hash, like all it does, like recompute a hash code, and if that matches, because it clearly does, because you undo a previous cache run, so it just restores.
That is great. So even like how long or where are the cache files? Where do those go?
They are like if you scroll up to the very top, there should be an NX folder, and here they are. So
and it just hangs
stored
on
in that folder.
How long does it hang on to old builds?
To be honest, like I don't know out of my head right now, but like we keep cleaning that up, so it's not like just a panning like crazy until like I don't remember whether we do it like on a time level or on like after like 10 builds or something. Yeah.
That is super cool.
but it cleans it up. It does auto cleaning basically. Because otherwise, like, at some point you would end up like with like huge caching for, especially on CI if you keep like piling on top of it.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, that was easy. So if I wanted to get more fine-grained and have like, I want a separate cache for this and one for this and one for this, then these would all need to be managed by NX. Like these would need to be NX commands and have their own like caching and outputs and all that, right?
Yeah, so they would need to be targets, which they are already kind of, because like if you look at the package JSON, like every script in there is like a task that can be invoked by NX. And so if you would now go and add like to the NX JSON, or even like inside here, like a new task with that name, right? You could just like add a same cache.true to that one, and it would be cached individually.
I see.
Right, so similar to here, the build name here on line 3 is just the name of the script that it invokes, and that should be handled by this configuration, right? So you could easily add like a build. I'm not sure about the colon, to be honest. Like I wouldn't have to try, because like colon is something we use also like for splitting up like configurations. But like if you would have like a build-remix, say, in here and say cache.true and output is this specific folder, it would keep caching that one as well independently. So even if they are being invoked internally, it will still work the same way, right? So that's how you could kind of get more fine-grained.
Yeah, but then I would have to update this to be NX so that it would take into account the caching. Like I couldn't have it run with NPM.
Yes and no. Like in a sense, yes, normally that's what you do, right? So you want to have that kind of managed by NX. Or if you have a project JSON, what you would do is kind of just create a new target in here, right, in that project JSON, and do a similar thing that we did for the build. But you can also, we also added an NX exec. So basically, if you would go to the package JSON, you can add like an NX exec -- in front of it. And so that just means it pipes it through NX in that way. So you still run npm run build : remix, but it pipes it through NX such that NX is aware, okay, this is the build being run, so it can monitor basically the output and inputs and stuff and do the caching, right?
Interesting. Would I be able to do that here instead?
Yeah, you should, because like this here is nothing else than just spawning commands, right? It's just as if you would run it on the terminal. So it would work, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to bother with that right now because it's fast enough as it is. The biggest benefit would be like I make a change to something in the app directory, then we don't need to worry about rebuilding the utils. Like that could be cached separately.
At that point, I would though exclude probably the utils into separate package, and just to have it basically as its own outstanding things that stands on its own, basically, and it has its own build process and stuff. And then you would just have a dependency from workshop app to that package, and then if you didn't change that, it would be cached, so you wouldn't have to bother about it, and would just point to that one.
That makes sense. So no sense in putting a bunch of effort into making this optimized when we're in a suboptimal situation anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I would extract it out at that point.
Yeah.
When you can extract out of packages.
Okay, cool. So let me just check my understanding here. This is target defaults. And so what that means is all projects in this workspace now have a build script which is cacheable and depends on all of their dependencies build scripts. Yeah.
So this is a global configuration which says if there is a build script, this is how you should handle it. Like you should cache it. Like if a project doesn't have a build script, no problem. Like it doesn't get applied clearly.
It doesn't add one.
But it's just exactly. It doesn't add one dynamically or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So if I wanted to, then I could actually say cache true here instead, right?
Yeah, you can enable it here, and I actually for the cache I need to check, because the cache true is something we recently added, so I'm not sure whether the cache can be applied at project level file, but the inputs and outputs clearly can.
Okay,
right? So if you have, because clearly you can have, like, let's say for the build in general, you always want to have all TSX and JSX included, right? So that could be a global configuration at the NX JSON level, but then you might have some projects that either have specific output folders or specific inputs that you want more fine tuning. Then you would go in here and say here inputs colon, and then just specify an array of like input globs that should be part of the cache input. Basically, what is being used for calculating the hash in the end. That's what happens.
Yeah. So what is being used right now by default? How does
by
it
default
know?
now is like star. So it just includes everything that is part of the project, right? So even the README change, like if you now go for instance change the README, that would invalidate the cache.
Ah, I see.
Right. But if you wouldn't want to do that, we would need to exclude it.
Got it.
Right.
So now it's
because for instance exactly. Because for the build, for instance, a README change, you might still want to use the cache, right? It depends a bit, right? Like if you have a deploy script, like for the package, for instance, you want the cache to be invalidated because the README obviously needs to be part of the package. So you still want to keep it in. So that kind of depends a bit on your use case and how you want to configure it. But like very often for the build script, like we also exclude spec files, for instance, because if you change the spec file, the build is still valid at that point, right? It's the test cache that should be invalidated. So those type of things you could optimize such that like, yeah, you still keep the build cache fast, even if you just change a spec file.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a typical use
case.
And
that would just be an optimization that involves like inputs.
Exactly.
And then here's my array of globs.
Exactly. And same for outputs. So you would have outputs and array of like globs. Usually it's just one folder or a couple folders. You could even go to the file level, but it's very rare. Like you could say that specific CSS script, I know it just changes in that subdirectory, those CSS files, so you could kind of tune it. But it's more the inputs where you gain the benefit, because the outputs is more like an optimization. Yeah, NX doesn't write on other files then or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
Fine.
Right. Can I use comments in this file?
Let's try. I'm sure. Maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to complain about that.
Doesn't seem to bother.
So that's nice. Is there like a schema that I can use?
There is. What does it say? There should be. I can try to find an existing application and see what we use in there. You could also, I don't know, because if you have it installed, probably not, but like we have also an NX VS Code extension, NX console, which gives you autocomplete in these files.
Okay.
Which is handy because if you select globs and stuff, then it's kind of handy because it kind of knows some of the situation.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll look at that later. So our time is flying by. Let's get into the dev stuff. Because that one is going to be complicated, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious. The dev stuff is always like more complicated.
Yeah. We got long running servers and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
So my guess is it's gonna be similar.
Yeah, for the dev, like let's see, you run the dev server, because here what we really can do in terms of like speeding up is if your dev server depends on an external package, right? So here we are in the workshop app, and I don't think like you depend on an external package in the workshop app.
Correct.
Right? Yeah, because like if the dev server here depends on the utils, which would be an external package, then yeah, because then you could say like the dev server directly reference that package clearly, right? So that needs to be pre-built in order for your dev server to run. And so again, the same thing applies, where you would go to like either here in the Prodigy.json, or you go to an NX.json and say like, when I run dev, that depends also on build of the child packages, right? So we like, if you go to the NX.json, what we would do there is just copy and paste that and adjust it with dev, right? So literally copy and paste this, say here, like dev as the script or whatever that's called. Yeah, probably it depends on build. So I would say build in
that
here.
makes sense. Yeah.
Cache probably not, because like dev server something like doesn't need to be cached. But so what would happen here is now you run dev and your external package is pre-built, and if it's cached, well, it just gets instantly there and you just serve it up. In this case, it doesn't really help because we are in the same project.
Yeah, right? So I wonder,
the project is the caching level.
Maybe what we should do is, since we're probably not going to get to you know what we should do is let's commit this. I'm going to merge it into main, because like it's in a working state. The build is faster. That's a win. So let's merge that. And then we can make a new branch for creating a new package. And I can't do that until we get the automated releases working, but at least we'll get that work done. And then maybe we can, once you have things more solidified, we can work on that. So
yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna, yeah, I don't mind leaving this in. That's not causing
Yeah,
any
you could
trouble.
also rip it out. I don't think it would make it doesn't hurt, but like it doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Yeah, we'll get
And the
it.
current state. Also because I think that dev configuration would be in a product itself, right? Because maybe in a different
Yeah.
project you don't call it dev, but like you call it differently. So
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna commit this as, or you know, we'll just go to main. We didn't do anything. Okay, so commit this as chore nxify the build. Okay, great. I'll just push that. All right, so let's see. What was that branch called? Does it make sense? Yeah, sure. NX. There we go. Okay. So now, if we were to do this, what I think I would want to do is make actually, do you have a fancy way to create new packages, or I'm literally just going to make a folder and create a package.json and do it all by hand?
we have generators, yeah. That like
Yeah.
what is it? Like just a TypeScript package?
Yes. So what we can expect in there is just there's some one TSX, but yeah, just pretty much this.
Yeah. Well, let's try. I mean, we can try. We can always rip it out in case. So
Hmm.
if you install, just install the npm install at nx/js at latest. So that would be, this is at the workspace level, right? Yeah.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right. And then we can just try to generate it. So basically run npx nxg for generate, and then add nx/js, so the package we just installed, colon, everything together, just attached, colon, lib. I guess we can just hit enter and see what happens. I guess it should ask where we want to generate it.
Really, I want to change the name of the library. So we're going to have it be EpicWeb. Here, let me make sure that I've got that. I can't remember what I called it. EpicWeb or EpicWeb.dev. Shoot, I can't remember. But I do want it to be, I literally have a package called remember. I just said I can't remember. Oh, man. I think it is epic-web. Or maybe, yep, there it is. Okay, so that is what I want it to be on.
Actually,
yeah.
let's restart the generation. I think we need to also pass a flag in. Let's pass in the flag -- publishable, because we want to have a package.json installed.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So
the name would be
epic
exactly
web / workshop app utils.
Let's see what happens. Test run.
Oh, whoops. Do I want to have vtest? I guess. Yeah, sure. Why not? And so right now I'm using esbuild, I think, to build those. I mean, I actually don't care.
Whatever you want. Like, and you think, in the end, like, I don't think it changes, because it creates. I mean, the only thing that potentially changes if you would want to have multiple like formats being compiled, like you want to have like the ESM and common JS packages being built, like the rollup builder, I think that we have here, like the rollup option would support that. But I think in your case, it doesn't really make sense, because it's just like an internal composition of like things, right? So
yeah,
you can choose whatever you like, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I should go with Vite, because that I'm gonna move over to Vite with the remix stuff, and we're using vtest, and so can Vite build like node stuff?
I think so, but like I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, let's go with these build. Oh no.
You have to provide. Oh, we have to provide a -- import path. So that would be like the same Epic Web workshop. We should actually change that, probably, like infer it from the name if it's already fully created path.
Okay.
Let's see what happens, because like usually we use these generators in a workspace where NX kind of like coordinates more, so it takes the workspace, more of the workspace over. So I'm curious, like what gets generated here. Choose none. Yeah, that's what I expected, because like we don't have a like a global TS config, because in a workspace where NX like use these kind of like plugins as the add NX.js one, We stick things together, not necessarily like in a PnPm workspace or npm workspace format, but we use a global TS config with path mappings. And so we map things together over that one. We actually have a change on the go, which like will solve this, but it's not ready.
Yeah.
So let's go
make it
old fashioned.
Yeah. That's okay. So we'll just call this utils, and then package JSON, and then name is Epic Web Workshop app utils, and scripts build. And let's see what I actually am doing for the build. So building utils. Oh, that's dev. So build utils. This thing builder. Is some funny things I'm doing here. Yeah. Whoops. Okay. And where's that builder? Maybe I'll change this later. Oh, I live in my own world. Here, we'll put this in other. Here, actually, we'll just copy this. Dun, dun, dun. Right there. Okay. And we'll put the source. Whoops, that is supposed to be a directory. Source right here. We'll take all these things. We have a file called utils inside a directory called utils. That's
usually the kitchen sink where everything goes in. Like once you're done, you're out to lazy bits, you come up with a proper name, like it's utils, and then you're lost. Right? Like everything just goes into that one. Yeah, until that point of refactoring comes.
Yeah, I should probably rename it to at least to miscellaneous or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll move the TS config into the root here. We can put declaration into build, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure all this stuff out. I think my modular resolution is messed up too. But anyway, let's see if we can just at least get this thing built. And I want to see if I can build it with NX. So this is complaining. Oh, right. We have like a ton of dependencies. Dang it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess let's see what TypeScript says when I try to do that. Maybe we go into packages, into utils and TSC. Oh, right. And TSX. I know I'm going to need at least those. All right, TSC. Tell me what I got wrong.
That's what? Is TSC not fun? Oh, that's because it doesn't resolve. Maybe. Did you do an npm install?
I thought I did. Okay, cool. We've got like a bunch of things that aren't installed. So now you know what would be, I don't want to do this, but what would be easier?
We can just copy over.
Copy all the dependencies over.
Yeah, for now, just copy them over. Maybe like the probably remix stuff and some other UI stuff can be left out, but like.
Yeah, that's the problem is I don't know what I can leave out. And so we'll end up with like just a ton of dependencies that we don't need.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm so like, that's why the generator part is cool, because like that, it figures that out for you, right? Because we even have a lint rule that says like, based on what you use and import in your TS files, these are the packages that you should have in your package JSON. And like, it's a lint rule, right? And so you say, oh yeah, sure. Clearly I forgot the dependency to add, right? Because sometimes you just import it and TypeScript kind of resolves it and it works. But if you build it, it fails by that lint rule. And clearly, lint rule can just pass -- fix. And so it auto-populates the package JSON, right? So you make sure it's always the right dependency, specifically for publishing. It's just that right now, those two worlds kind of clash a bit, like between NX wanting to manage too much and having like a more free-form npm workspace kind of thing. But like the feature that we have been working now on, which is released in December, is going to fix that, which I'm super excited about. Because then you can use a generator like here and generate into a package-based monorepo, like an npm workspace monorepo. It just creates a package JSON, but you can still benefit from some of those lint rules, right? Which is super handy. Yeah. Specifically if you were accustomed to it, right? You just feel like you kind of work without it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I did add all those dependencies, and this is still complaining.
Let's see. Did you run an npm install?
I did.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh.
The common just so important.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot to add type module.
Okay.
Try that again. And ESLint is going to complain about this because ESLint is the worst. Man. I love ESLint. Don't get me wrong. Nobody tell Nicholas that I said that. But man, I don't know why it's having trouble over here, but we don't need to worry about it. It's fine. We can ignore ESLint for right now. Let's just see if we can get NX to run this build script, or actually, what would be most well? Yeah, let's get it to run the build script. So this would be NX build : or it's Epic Web Workshop app utils :build. Is that right?
NX run. In that case, you need to do NX run, and then exactly.
Got it.
I mean, the other one is just an alias, basically.
Okay, so this is just something
build.
stupid that I messed up. Yeah. Oh man. I do weird things. Yeah. I think that'll work now. There we go. Sweet. So NX ran the build. We've got our.
So the output is here still, the build folder.
Yeah, I've got to fix things a little bit.
Yeah, probably where you want to have it.
Yeah, I got to fix stuff. I'll do that later. So for right
now,
now,
basically, you would need to create the dependency, right?
Well, we need to say our main, right?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Build source
and whatever.
Gosh, no, dang it. So the
you have multiple entry points?
Yes, I do. And they're all right here. And actually, we'll grab our imports as well. I think I might use that. I can't remember.
In the next session, I need to show you that generator that we wanted to try before, because like that one also comes with like similar as the run commands, comes with a build command specifically for TypeScript, and that has an option where you can specify in the options configuration, say multiple entry points, and you point just to the TS files, and it maintains those exports for you if you want to, right? So it automatically change like references all the things that you have here that you need to kind of maintain. It just spits out like in the build process in your package JSON.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to kind of go through that, which is because it's hard to maintain these, right? And keep them
it's
up to date as you keep changing stuff.
Yeah, I would like that a lot. Okay, so for right now, it's actually going to be in build source. I'll fix that later. But yeah, so that should take care of that. We also have the start script, which this start script is not going to be a part of this. That'll be something else. So yeah, I think that's it. Why does this not have types? See, this is why you don't maintain this yourself. You just have a tool that does it for you. So yeah,
it's a pain, right? Like,
it's super annoying. Okay, so compile MDX. Yes, that is what I want. Okay, great. So then in the workshop app, we no longer have the utils directory at all. It's gone. Toast. And then we
now we
have
need to reference it.
Package JSON. This build declarations is gone. Build util. Hold on a second.
Let's refactor that.
I can't. Yeah, why did I have build declarations? Oh, probably because I have tsconfig configured to not emit.
Oh, I see.
That's probably why I'm doing that. So I don't think I need to worry about that now because the declarations are being built just fine. So, okay, so we can get rid of build declarations. We can get rid of dev decks. We can get rid of dev utils, maybe. We'll have to look.
That would be the one. Yeah,
that's going to be tricky. We'll look at that later. But build utils.
Let's refactor that once we have the connection established between the two projects. So basically adding it to the dependencies, right?
Yeah, let's get that done. So this will be Epic Web. Hey, look, those are the two packages I've got so far. Workshop app utils, and that'll be star, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So then we go to the root of the project. We run npm install.
Yep.
And then if I run the build script for
workshop app.
Here, let's actually, before we do that, we'll rename this to Epic Web Workshop app. There we go. Okay. Epic Web Workshop app build. Okay, cannot find project. Yeah, well, I think I know exactly why. Because our project JSON still has
that's the other one. Yeah, that overrides it for now.
Epic Web. Okay, great.
I need to pull it down afterwards because I don't understand why it didn't pick up. Because it picks up clearly the package JSON script. So I'm wondering why it didn't pick up that other config before. Hopefully it didn't introduce a bug there.
Okay, we got some things changed.
Yeah, these are the ones because clearly now you're referencing it with like still the relative path, right, to the utils folder, which we removed.
Yes, that should never have actually been there in the first place. But yeah,
can you run npx graph as well before just to see whether
or
nx graph? Yeah, sorry, nx graph. Just to see whether it picked that up. Because now we have the
that's interesting.
work app with, yeah, it's interesting why there are.
I bet I know why, because I hadn't run npm install yet, maybe. Because that
that could be like if you if you have that package linked there, now it would pick them up because before it wouldn't. Yeah, that makes sense. But the app utils is linked there, so like it clearly understands here the connection. Cool. So we should be good.
Okay.
There.
So
now we just need to replace all --utils something, right, to point.
Yeah, none of these should have been that way in the first place, actually. So this should be
the new name that you gave
it. Epic Web Workshop app utils. And that is complaining because I think
they're not exported.
My exports, I don't have the extension.
Oh yeah, you don't have the ending. Yeah.
Rats. That's going to be annoying. It still doesn't like that though.
What does it say? Cannot find. But if you look in the build output of that project, are they there? Like, does it point to the correct location?
Should be utils.
Oh, build. Because we have it in. Is it because source. We have it in source?
Well, in here I pointed to the right place, I think.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not sure what that is going to be, but I've got a meeting I need to get to here in just a sec. So let's just recap really quick on what needs to still happen, and then maybe like next week or something, if you've still got some more time, we can try out the publish tool and stuff. That would be sweet. So what I need to do is just figure out why those imports aren't working, because that has nothing to do with NX. It's just like this is mono or it's a workspace problem.
Pointing to different
but as far as NX is concerned, this configuration should be enough to, and I think we saw that when I tried to run this, it went and built the utils first. So NX is doing what it should. And then for the development, for dev time, we've got the dev utils. I have it just TSX watching changes to the utils package. Does NX get involved in that at all, or like I'll have to remove this? Do I make the dev script will be dependent on the build script?
Yeah, so exactly. So you would have like a config similar to the build that we have, where you say like dev depends on all the builds for children's based child dependencies, and so they would go and pre-build those. But also for the watch one, I can send you an example, or I can kind of post it into this one if you send me the branch, where like there's also watching there. And the interesting of watching is because it also considers the dependencies. So basically you just watch the project you're running, like in that case, the workshop app, and regardless how many dependencies you have below it, it would watch those inputs automatically, right? So that's the advantage, right? So based on whether it's caching or not, like whenever you change something, it would refresh kind of the main project. It's basically very simple. It's like a watch on dependencies, and then once the watch triggers, it runs that command, right? Which can be like a rebuild or something. But I can send you some instructions there, or we can kind of try it out next week in case.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Then I will be in touch with you about getting another time. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Awesome.
So somebody actually, really quick before we leave, somebody asked in the Discord chat. By the way, this is where we do chat. If you're chatting on YouTube, I'm sorry that I ignore you. This is where we chat. But to ask why I'm migrating to NX and not something like Turbo Repo. This is a pretty nuanced question we probably don't have time to discuss, but I, for various reasons, prefer NX over Turbo Repo. One thing is I like the team a lot, and like really like Yuri and other folks on the team. So, but the other thing is that everything that I have seen demonstrates that NX is much simpler. And yet still faster. It does what I need it to do and no more. And I like I like that about NX. So anyway, thanks again, Yuri, and we'll be in touch to do something probably next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks everybody. Bye. We'll see y'all later.